It's basically a pretty meaningless.
Yeah, what does that mean? I mean,
it means nothing.
Was there a
basically.
cash prize or anything?
No, there was nothing. I got a cheap plaque, which was made in China, so I have to wash my hands thoroughly after I touch it because it's probably filled with lead.
Oh, and by the way, Bob could not be here today, but he wanted me to remind you to neuter your pets. And that includes your goldfish and your parakeets, too. And then after you neuter them, since you've taken all the fun out of their life and they have no reason to go on living, you might just as well euthanize the damn things, too. But anyway, yeah, he's really old, like me. And they could have done, I was as good as I was ever going to get 30 years ago. And I was pretty damn good. And by the way, Bob, I still am, if you want to give me another chance. I think I got one more comeback left in me. So yeah, they could have done this then. I could have been ego tripping on this for the last 3 decades, but no, they waited until now. At the time of my death, my body will be donated to the University of New Mexico Medical School for research purposes. Because that's the kind of guy I am. I just keep giving. And I've got the card in my wallet in case it happens while I'm up here.
No, there's all these Hall of Fame plaques and stuff, which I carry around in the trunk of my car. And I pull into a Chevron station. I say, hey, look, I'm in not 1, not 2, but 3 Hall of Fames now. And look at all these awards I've won. So I probably get discount gas, right? And they say, no, you frickin' moron. You'll pay $4 a gallon like everybody else.
Tonight, the Radio Hall of Fame inducts Chicago legend Larry Lujack. I grew up in Seattle listening to KJR in Seattle, and there was a guy named Gary Lockwood that I listened to, and he did Police Blotter. He was Captain Gare and his little Sergeant Bobby, and they would do that bit, and then later they would do cheap and sleazy Hollywood reports. And the first time I was in Chicago and I listened to Larry Lujack, I thought, oh my gosh, I can't believe this guy, Larry Lujack, is ripping my favorite DJ in Seattle off. He actually taught me at that time that there are very few originals. There are out there, but there are very few, and my motto has always been what I actually learned from that: if you steal from me, you've stolen twice. Welcome back to the Radio Hall of Fame, live from Chicago. I'm Glenn Beck. After World War II ended, television began to provide the pictures, and radio had to change. Music was the difference. Our next inductee, Larry Lujack, was a listener to the early pioneers and then became a pioneer of a different sort, and the inspiration for many of today's most famous on-air personalities. Here to introduce him is a Chicago favorite for more than 20 years, his adorable sidekick on Real Oldies 1690 WRLL AM here in Chicago, Tommy Edwards.
Radio Hall of Fame members and inductees, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I am privileged to have this opportunity to tell you about one of the newest inductees, Larry Lujack, and folks, this is not a pretty picture. He started in radio 46 years ago. He entered the Air Force and was stationed as a security guard at Chanute Air Force Base in Rantoul, Illinois. There he proudly served our country, keeping the base safe overnight from communists and hookers. After his honorable discharge, he worked for a number of stations with tenure of about 4 months each. But then he landed jobs in the big time in Seattle, Boston, and eventually here in Chicago. Here he floated back and forth between WLS and WCFL for several years. He wrote a book and won a number of industry awards, but he can't remember any of them, and he asked me to forget about the book. But in all seriousness, he did this especially achieving the great success in ratings and becoming the one individual who influenced more radio and TV people than anybody else, just by being himself, sarcastic, irreverent, and mostly lovable. I've known him for 32 years. We originated Animal Stories and became America's cutest couple. Today, Larry and I do the morning show on Real Oldies 1690 on AM for Clear Channel. I have worked with radio giants in New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, so I believe I'm qualified to say that Larry Lujack is a genius. And he is always the opportunist. In hearing of one of the other inductees tonight, and in the interest of advancing himself in the Clear Channel corporate structure, he has asked me to introduce him using his new legal name, Larry Lujack.
Time for the Larry Lujack Clunk Letter of the Day. Da-da-da, da-da-da. This is an anonymous letter, which goes as follows. Dear Superjock, comma, this is the second time I have written to you requesting to hear Buddy Holly records on Super CFL. Remember, as you know, when Buddy Holly died, so did rock and roll. So get your little fanny perpendicular layer and get those Buddy Holly records on the airwaves. Well, there's no need to get crude.
Larry Lujack, Superjock.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Radio Hall of Fame is proud to induct Larry Lujack.
All right, stop clapping. We got a limited time thing here. I would like to take just a moment, first of all, to thank you for your overwhelming love, and I will shove it right up my heart. Thank you. Take a moment to finally, for the first time ever, explain fully the low point of my career, which Tommy made mention of. It was about 30 years ago. A book modestly titled Superjock, subtitled The Loud, Frantic, Non-Stop World of a Rock Radio DJ. It was embarrassing trash, but it wasn't my fault, and you'll be stunned to learn whose fault it was. There was at that time a young, know-nothing editor at Regnery Publishing here in Chicago who was assigned to edit this book. His mistake was that he took out all the good, interesting stuff and just left all the filth and the smut in. So it was his fault. And that young man went on to become the president and chief executive officer of the Radio Hall of Fame. His name was and still is Bruce Dumont. So, if you made the mistake, if you were dumb enough to buy that book, see Bruce later for a full refund of your purchase price, and I hope you saved your receipt. Coincidentally, one of the quotes they used on the cover jacket was from my friend Dick Purton. The quote they used on the jacket was, "This is the funniest book I've read since God is my co-pilot," which, of course, wasn't funny at all. That was very cruel, Dick, and I will hate you for the rest of my life. And I think in regard to Dick Purton, there should be a recount on the votes. I don't think the guy's good enough to be in, quite frankly. Even though Dick and I realized that you really screwed up this year by voting us in, fortunately we have both of us big enough egos to con ourselves into thinking that we really are that good and actually deserve this. As you know, this is a very tough business. It's hard to survive. And that's why, although both Tommy and I love working for Clear Channel, and we believe everything they believe as far as, good broadcasting. That's why, although both Tommy and I love working for them, it's always a good idea to be looking for the next gig. And that's why as you leave tonight, we'll be handing out copies of our air checks over there at the door. Call us. Every reasonable offer will be considered. Now, to our radio audience who cannot see what's going on, they're starting to throw silverware and chicken bones at me now, so I'll just say, hey, thanks for screwing up the vote this year and voting me in. I am truly honored. Thank you very much.
Just ahead of more of the Big 89 Rewind with Larry Lujack and Tommy Edwards.
Larry Lujack, WLA.
You guys are just as lousy as you were when I when I listened to you in the 60s. That's why I still love you. Or no, this is from Mark Murray, big-time TV meteorologist in Austin, Texas. Yeah. Hey, guys, growing up in Milwaukee, I used to listen to you on a cheap transistor radio as an adult. I struggled to hear you on that real oldies disaster.
Yeah.
Today I'm in an RV in the middle of Texas trying to get a Wi-Fi signal to get you online. Same great Tommy and Larry, same crappy reception. And here's James Carlson. It's great to hear you guys back on the radio. The music you guys are playing sucks so far. Well, how about Joey's last game?
Oh, come on, yeah.
We didn't pick out the music, people, okay? We could have picked out the music, but that would have been too much work. Yeah. But we did pick out Joey's last big game. That was a good one.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, if we ask the name of your favorite radio station, say WLS, and you might win the Larry Lujack Show. Mornings on WLS.
Tommy Edwards.
Oh, man. Are you embarrassed, ashamed at all?
That was humiliating, wasn't it? I'd rather hear what's going on in Roma's colon. I kind of like that spot.
The Big 89 studios are adorned with red, white, and blue bunting. So stand tall, stand proud, stand erect, and draw your attention near because it's time for the Tommy and Larry Address to the Nation!
And he says, during staff meetings, as I recall, Larry would sit in the corner of the room, say very little, and demonstrate what I considered to be disdain for the very purpose of the meeting. Yeah, well. Yeah. Very perceptive of you, Clark. Had you been saying anything worth listening to, I might have paid attention. Oh, please. I don't recall ever hearing reverb on WLS during its entire music radio days. These guys never needed an echo chamber to highlight their genius. Why now?
He has a way with words, doesn't he?
Tommy's wife was just in here, says she was listening, says it sounds like we're in church.
Yeah.
Maybe this is the day to do the entire show in a Gregorian chant. You guys sound great. I can actually hear you without any static. But how do you like the reverb? Reverb!
Les Grobstein, WLS Sports.
Now with a check of traffic, here's Wendy Snyder. Just ahead of more of the Big 89 Rewind with Larry Lujack and Tommy Edwards.
Tommy, we should mention the name of Art Volo.
Okay.
Because,
I think you did that.
Actually, there is no reason for it. But he likes to hear his name on the radio. He's on his business cards, he describes himself as, and this is a quote, radio's best friend.
Oh.
Yeah. And he is here with a video camera today capturing this historic broadcast on video, and he'll be selling it out of the trunk of his car.
Okay.
You know, I feel sorry for him, and so that's why I just wanted to mention him on the air.
WLS.
Hey, Tommy.
Yeah.
Did you get the impression that Chris Stevens was going out of his way to try to sound soft and warm and sexy?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that too.
Mm-hmm.
That guy is so fake. Well, hey.
WLS Music Radio and the Big 89 Rewind. It is 11:48.
Hey, here we are again, the Animal Stories News Team Anchormen. We're a lot more than just breathtaking eye candy, Tommy. Here we are, yes, here's me, your charming and delightful old Uncle Larry, this Hillman person, little snot-nosed Tommy.
Hi, Uncle Larry. Hi, everybody.
Hi, Tommy. This is one of those intermingling of the species stories. You know how much we like those.
Yeah.
Headline here says, Antarctic fur seal observed trying to have sex with a king penguin. Okay. Scientist. Okay, this happened on Marion Island, which is a sub-Antarctic island. Scientists who witnessed this incident say it is the most unusual case of mammal mating behavior yet known. This went on for 45 minutes.
Wow.
Tommy. But then they thought, wait a minute, something else going on here. They noticed the thrusting pelvis of the of the first seal and determined that it appeared to be the behavior of a frustrated, sexually inexperienced young male seal. And not overly bright, obviously.
And this is a penguin?
Yeah. It's thought to be the first recorded example. I mean, they got this on film. It was caught on camera. Thought to be the first recorded example of a mammal trying to have sex with a member of another class of vertebrate, such as a bird, fish, reptile, or amphibian.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm reminded of that 1970 song by Stephen Stills. If you can't be with the one you love, then nail the one you with. That's, I think it went kind of like that. It says here that the first thing he does in the morning is he lets his dogs out in the yard to relieve themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, according to this, Ashton also relieves himself at the same time out in the yard.
Oh, no. What do the neighbors think?
I don't know. But he says he likes to do it that way because it's his attempt to commune with nature. And he helps him bond with his dogs and he feels like a caveman.
Oh, jeez.
Well, that was disgusting.
Yeah.
That's all the time we have for Animal Stories today, boys and girls. Tune in again.
Next year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Until then, there's some other
Him and me.
say
So long.
goodbye.
Music Radio WLS.
And now the end is near. I face the final curtain. But here comes the uplifting part. On that day of my death, when the final curtain drops for me, there's no funeral, there's no burial, because I recently completed the necessary paperwork so that at the time of my death, my body will be donated to the University of New Mexico Medical School for research purposes. Mm-hmm.
I'm Larry Lujack. Bah.
Happy as yesterday's memory, as modern as tomorrow. WLS in Chicago.
You have been listening to WLS, the Prairie Farmer Station, Chicago. It's the end of the program. Roy Knapp is at the chimes. Good night, all. We'll be with you tomorrow.